So here we have my good old Royal 880. It was recently requested by one of my subscribers to do more or less a full teardown video of this machine. So we'll go ahead and do that. On these it's pretty easy to do. We're just going to remove the top handle and take your butterfly nut, pull that off, pull the hot swappable cord out, and then slide your bag off, and then everything is removed at once. Makes it a bit easier to work on. One thing you will want to do, because you're going to be taking everything apart and looking at a lot of stuff, is pulling the brushes out, and you'll see why. It also allows you to get a more complete look at your machine and make sure everything's running correctly. So to pull your brushes out, you just do this. Careful though. So here's the brush. Sometimes you'll have to file the ends down. Don't have to do that on this one. Now the other side. And same thing, just look over your brush. Looks to be in good condition, so I'm not going to worry about it. Throw that aside so we don't lose it. Now that you have both of the brushes out, you can more or less commence tearing everything else apart. So flip up your hood if your model's equipped with one. If not, don't worry about it. You can pull this out as well. It's just kind of in the way. You can also use it to store parts in, I guess. So we're going to take the adjuster right off. I do need to replace this, I believe, because the locking retainer here is starting to show its age, unfortunately. So it's also got a bit of a crack in it on the tip. So the easiest way to take a belt off, honestly, is to just go counterclockwise, and there you go, it rolls itself off the shaft. Now we can take the bottom plate off. Kind of hard to get a proper angle, but just take the bottom plate off like this. And I like to kind of pry it out and assist it. This is a new brush if you guys can't tell. And this model does have replaceable brush strips, so everything looks okay on the brush. As I said, I did just replace this, but we will tear this apart just because there is a little bit of hair on it that can do to get removed. So anyways, here is the next part. Now, some of you guys who haven't really torn one of these down, it's not hard to do, but it'll look daunting. But the first thing you want to do is we're going to be moving this side, and that will allow us access. There you go. Basically what we're going to have to do is, just to kind of get this out of the way so we can slide the body back, we'll have to fully disconnect this. So in order to do that, simply just take the wire nuts off. And because this is reasonably old wiring, kind of want to be careful. It is fairly delicate. So throw that aside, don't lose it. So now, I believe the next step is to take the case off. Go. 4 screws. I think there is some wiring that's going to have to come out with the headlight. So I just took the wiring out for the headlight. And we'll throw our nozzle aside just to get it out of the way. Now there is a trick with removing these fans. They're really not that difficult to do, honestly. But they are on there reverse threaded. But in order to take these off, you just grab onto your fan blade. And there you have it. Like I said, it's reverse threaded, so that's why it acts like that. Basically, it's only on there more or less finger tight. And all we're doing is I just have a screwdriver stabbed in there so it won't move it around too much. My 882 is not like this, it's a little bit different. The fan actually slides off and slides on fairly easily. So here's the fan. Now the next step is to gain access to the insides of the motor. This is why I opted to take the brushes out. Just take these 3 screws out. So there's that. Literally the next step, if it'll cooperate, pull your motor shaft out. That's all there is to it. Now you have access to the inside of the motor and the inside of the body. So now I'm going to clean out the inside of this. Actually, I'm just going to take the whole rest of the motor out. Might as well, so I can show you guys what to do. There's that one. And that one. Now, if everything goes accordingly, it all comes out as one unit. So now you have even better access to the back of the motor and the body. So you guys can kind of see what it looks like in there. The wiring looks good. I'm not seeing anything out of the ordinary, but we'll go ahead and clean it out. So there's all that. Now to throw it back together, just make sure those 2 screws are going in. It is kind of a little tricky to do all this, but it's not really all that bad. I've messed with stuff that's a lot worse than this. So to reset the motor body, you just kind of finagle her back into place. Just have to kind of find the best way for everything to line up. Turn the torque down a bit. Go up to max speed though. Alright, so getting on to the finishing up on reinstallation here. Now this is the exact reason why we took out both of the brushes. Go ahead and throw these screws back in. There's all that. Now is kind of the fun part. I might actually have to take that back off to get the headlight wiring back into the motor. But what we can do is put the fan back on. Let's start it. I'm going to have to jam a screwdriver in here again. Remember, it doesn't need to be in there tight. It just needs to be in there tight enough. You don't really want to burr this up. That's why I'm using the other end of the shaft here. So in case this actually does damage the shaft, it's not imperative, it's not a huge deal, but if you put a burr here, it's going to wear the belt out and probably break it. So that's why I'm doing it that way. So I'm going to grab our power nozzle. And this is, again, kind of a tricky part. So I'm going to fish both of these wires back in. Now there is kind of a trick to getting the headlight back together, and I did have to take out the motor, or take apart the motor again. So, not a huge deal, I just needed to fish those wires through the body and see what we can do. Oh yeah, we got enough. Alright, so let's throw her back together like that. And just to kind of keep everything together, do that. And one on the other side too. So, now that we have the wiring back all the way through, that's more or less how you take one of these apart. It's really not rocket science. I'm just going to go ahead and finish with the reinstallation of everything. Really isn't much more to it other than what you're seeing here. Two caps. Small hammer. So that's really all there is to it. Short of putting the handle back on and everything else. That's how you disassemble one of these things.